So, how does the guy go from a celebrated war hero, a worthy gentleman, to a cold-blooded killer? And not just over time, but in the space of a single act. It's one of the fastest, most fascinating character collapses in all of literature. So today, let's dive into the first act of Shakespeare's Macbeth and figure out, step by step, how the hero becomes the murderer.
You know, the play doesn't even start with Macbeth. Nope. It kicks off with this line. You've got three witches chanting this total contradiction, right? Fair is foul, and foul is fair. It's basically the theme for the whole play, telling us right from the get-go that our moral compass is about to get completely scrambled. Good is bad is good, nothing is what it seems. Talk about setting a confusing stage.
And Shakespeare throws in thunder and lightning right away. Now, this isn't just some spooky background noise for dramatic effect. For the audience back then, a Jacobean audience, this was genuinely terrifying. See, the fear of witchcraft was very, very real. I mean, the king himself, King James I, was totally obsessed with it. He even wrote a book on it. He actually believed witches could control the weather and blamed a storm for nearly sinking the ship his own bride was on. So when the play opened with witches and a storm, yeah, Shakespeare's tapping directly into some deep-seated public panic.
All right, so after that creepy opening with the witches, we finally get to hear about our main guy, Macbeth. But here's the thing, we don't actually meet him yet. Instead, we just get these reports from the battlefield, and honestly, they make him sound like the perfect, flawless hero.
And this is literally the first thing we hear. Brave Macbeth. Before we know anything else about him, we know he's courageous. That's his brand.
And then the praise just keeps getting bigger. He's not just brave, he's valor's minion. It's like he's the personal favorite, the right-hand man of bravery itself. I mean, he's basically being described as a legend, a total superhero.
And then you get this, the absolute peak of his reputation. And who says it? King Duncan. The very man Macbeth is going to murder is calling him a valiant cousin and a worthy gentleman. He's praising his loyalty, his character. Oh, the dramatic irony is just dripping from this scene.
So what Shakespeare's doing here is classic playbook stuff. He's setting Macbeth up to be a perfect tragic hero. He wants us, the audience, to admire this guy. He's high status, everyone respects him, he's a winner. And why? Because it makes his eventual fall, which, is coming, so much more shocking and devastating.
But just as we're buying into this idea of Macbeth the perfect hero, guess who shows up again? Yep, the witches. And they're about to plant a single toxic idea in his head that's going to change everything.
So they hit Macbeth with 3 bombshell prophecies. 1, you're going to become the Thane of Cawdor. 2, you're going to be king. And 3, and this one's a real kicker for later, they tell his buddy Banquo that his kids will be kings, not Macbeth's. And boom, right there, the fuse for the entire play is lit.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how they react differently. Banquo is basically like, whoa, hold on, these could be instruments of darkness telling us a little bit of truth to trap us. He's cautious. But Macbeth, he's totally hooked. Banquo even says he starts and seems to fear what should be great news. And you have to ask yourself, why is he afraid? Because that little seed of an idea is already sprouting.
And here's exactly why he was afraid. His mind leaps almost instantly from I'm going to be king to murder. He calls it a fantastical thought, just an idea, but it's so horrible that it literally shakes him to his core, makes his heart pound. Our perfect hero is already, right here, thinking about killing the king.
This moment right here is huge. So Macbeth finds out the first prophecy came true. He really is the new Thane of Cawdor. And suddenly, his ambition isn't just a fantasy anymore, it gets real. In this little aside to himself, he's basically talking to the heavens, telling the stars to turn off their lights so nobody can see the black and deep desires inside him. He knows what he's thinking is wrong, and he's already trying to hide it.
So if you think of the witches as planting that seed of ambition, well, Lady Macbeth is the one who's going to pour gasoline on it to make it grow. She gets a letter from her husband about the prophecies, and her reaction? It is instant, and it is terrifyingly clear.
I mean, just think about this. Her very first thought isn't, hooray, we're going to be rich and powerful. No, her first thought is, I'm worried my husband is too nice. She's afraid he's too full of the milk of human kindness to actually go through with what needs to be done. To her, his goodness isn't a strength, it's a weakness, an obstacle.
And you have to understand just how radical a character she was for the time.
Back then, the ideal woman was supposed to be quiet, obedient, motherly. Lady Macbeth, she throws all of that right out the window. She's dominant, she's manipulative, she's ruthless. And in that famous speech, she literally asks evil spirits to unsex me here, to take away everything that makes her a woman and just fill her up with pure cruelty. For that audience, a woman acting like this was seen as unnatural, even monstrous.
So when Macbeth finally gets home, this is the first piece of advice she gives him. This is her whole philosophy in one line: deceive everyone. Smile, look harmless like a flower, but underneath be the snake ready to strike. It's that fair is foul idea all over again. And, of course, that reference to the serpent, a 17th century audience would have immediately thought of the devil in the Garden of Eden.
Okay, so this all leads to the final critical scene of the act. Macbeth is by himself, and he actually has a moment of doubt. His conscience kicks in, and for a second, it looks like he might actually back out.
And he lays out all the reasons why this is a terrible idea. First, Duncan's his family and his king. Second, Macbeth is his host. He's supposed to protect him, not murder him in his own house. Third, Duncan's been a great king. He hasn't done anything to deserve this. And then, the most honest moment, Macbeth admits he has no good reason to do this, other than his own vaulting ambition. And he knows it's a bad idea. He decides, okay, we're not doing it.
But then, Lady Macbeth walks in. He tells her the plan's off, and she just unleashes on him. She goes right for the throat, attacking his masculinity. She basically asks him, so you're just going to live the rest of your life knowing you were a coward? It is such a sharp, brutal, and effective attack on his ego.
And she doesn't stop there. She doubles down, completely redefining what it means to be a man. She tells him, you were a man when you dared to do it. In her world, being a man isn't about honor or loyalty. It's about having the guts to take what you want, no matter what. She's tying his entire identity as a man to his willingness to kill.
And this is the moment he breaks. His response isn't, but it's wrong. It's, if we should fail. Do you see the shift? He's no longer debating the morality of it. Now he's just worried about the logistics. He's worried about getting caught. The argument is over. He's in.
And with that, the transformation is complete. He ends the act basically quoting his wife's advice back to her. It's decided. The brave Macbeth, the worthy gentleman we heard about at the beginning of the act, he's gone. In his place is a killer.
So, when you look back, you see his downfall isn't just one thing. It's really a perfect storm, right? The witches give him the idea, which sparks his own secret ambition, and then Lady Macbeth comes in and pours fuel on that fire, manipulating him until he finally snaps. But at the end of the day, Macbeth is the one who makes the choice. He's the one who's going to pick up that dagger. And that leaves us with the great lingering question of the whole play. Was he a good man who was corrupted, or did the witches and his wife just give him the push he needed to unleash the monster that was in him all along? Who do you think is most to blame?